everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of a little project I'm calling Grow Up, Level Up, hosted by me. I'm Samson. I am here with my childhood friend again. Not again, I guess. If this is your first time joining us. This is my childhood friend, Samantha.
Not for listeners.
Yeah, not for listeners.
Yeah.
Here on Grow Up, Level Up, I like to talk to guests about how they use games and, I guess, game theory in their lives. Spoiler alert, Sam is not a full-time gamer, but she uses a lot of gamification and tactics and all that in her work day to day. Before we get into it, Sam is a teacher, singer, musician, just a multi-talented person. She currently works as a teacher in Vancouver. On the side, she also runs, what was it called again? Metro Vancouver?
Musicians and videographers, but we'll call it the Project Van City.
Right, Project Van City, which you should check out on Instagram. We'll plug it later. She's worked in tons of settings, teaching from education in schools to summer camps. She's also a co-host, writer, and music director for a YouTube series called Science Ninjas. So welcome, Sam. Yay!
Thanks.
I'll insert some applause. That's a thing I was supposed to do.
Sweet.
Cool. So before we get started, can you tell me about what you decide to drink today?
Oh, yes. I went for the lime bubbly.
Ooh, bubbly.
That's usually the one I go for. I don't know. I just like lime. I feel like limes go with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have lime in any other type of drink I have. So
Yeah.
lime bubbly. Our whole fridge is stocked with basically as many drinks as possible. So because we love hosting, me and my partner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we always have people over.
Yeah. And if you're watching the video, we're actually shooting in Sam's home right now. And it's such a cozy place. It's my first time here. And there's like Lego, there's music stuff everywhere. It's so cozy.
There's a lot of Lego. The more you look, the more like interesting things you'll probably see. That's what people have told us.
That's true. We are a game-centered podcast. So I like to ask this question to all my guests, but what are your top 3 games? That could be video games or board games, tabletop games, I guess they're also called. What are your top 3 of all time?
My number 1 favorite game is Undertale. Because someone told me that I would like it. And because I didn't have to fight anyone. So I love Undertale. I played it completely passively all the way through. And I even got all the bonus levels. And I was very proud of myself because you had to like really know the story. That's what I loved about that game, was that the story was really good. That's
so awesome that you bring that up, because in one of our previous episodes, Undertale was a game that I mentioned I never played and that I need to play.
Oh my God. It's so, if you really like the storytelling element, then yeah, it's really good. Cool. I won't give any spoilers then. Okay. But
I've heard some things because like some of my students before, but yes, we won't give any spoilers for anyone that wants to play. What's your other two?
My second one that came to mind was Zelda. I love Zelda. I play it with my a couple friends who live up by UBC. So when we're there for like, we're there for like 4 or 5 hours, visiting. When we visit them, it's like a hardcore visit. And me and my best friend Allie would kind of switch off. So again, I don't like the fighting part. So every time there was like a fighting part, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm scared. Like, take it. Yeah. But as soon as there was a puzzle, she was like, Sam, you got the puzzle. I was like, I love puzzles. Like,
that is such a nice like pass and play thing for Zelda. Yeah,
it was perfect. And then in the corner, my partner Adrian and his best friend Ricardo, who they're engaged, we're off playing card games. So nice. So my third one would probably be Grand Theft Auto, because it's just a good time.
those are a couple hardcore picks. Not gonna lie.
They're just fun. Like yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. All right. So it seemed like we got a seasoned gamer here. It sounds like. Okay. So let's dive into a little bit about you. Like, what do you do for a career, and how'd you end up doing it?
Yeah, I'm a middle school teacher, and right now I'm actually teaching math to 3 classes. So most of my day is being a math teacher.
Oh.
I also, how did I get into that? I guess I'll separate my answers, because I wear a lot of hats. So we'll just focus on that for now. I wanted to be a teacher after I realized that being a lawyer maybe wasn't what I wanted lifestyle-wise. And I remember talking to my dad about it, who's always been my career advice person. And he told me that, one, he thought I would enjoy being a teacher because of all the work that I've done in summer camp. I just had so much experience working with kids of ages like 10 to 12. I was working in an office, and my summer camp called me up to say that someone was sick who had my position before me, and that I was the only person they could really think of who was going to be free.
You were getting a call to join the Avengers.
Yeah. They're like, can you please come back? And so I was like, so I asked my boss at the time, I was working in this office, if I could take a week off to help children. And I worded it so that, he's like, yeah, of course. He can't say no to that. So I took a week off that work to go work my old summer camp. Someone came up to me and I was kind of asking questions like, oh, so how do you guys do things this year? And this staff member went, oh, we follow this book and it says blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm going to stop you there. Yeah, I wrote that book. I'm just checking. I feel like are you following exactly what I wrote, or are you, have you found a better way to do things, which is, I think, completely fair. So it's kind of funny. I wrote the book on this specific summer camp, which you remember me spending all my nights typing.
Oh, yeah. Sam and I used to work at the same summer camp together for many, many, many years. It was one of the best times ever.
Oh, it was, yeah.
But man, yeah, okay. But I didn't know that.
It's a 40-page document that I collected by the end of the summer, because it's just writing a page and two here at a time. But yeah, they still use it, or they were still using it a couple years ago. So that made me very happy. And it just didn't feel like work the same way my office job did. So so I started volunteering in high school, my old high school classroom. I volunteered with Miss Farah, who is now Miss Lovelock. She's gotten married now. And Mr. Wallace, I believe. I went back and you remember these people.
Yeah. It's a long time ago now.
Long time ago.
But that's awesome.
A decade ago. But it was Miss Farah, or Natalie, as I call her now, who told me, you know what? You'd really like middle school.
Middle school.
I was like, really? I was like, yeah, you'd really like it. I was like, okay, sure, I'll give it a shot. And I went up and I had the opportunity to volunteer in a middle school classroom. Miss Julie Plesha was my person who graciously let me into her classroom. And the first moment I stepped in that room was magical. And I knew it was absolute chaos in the room. All the kids were working on things, doing this, doing that. Yeah. They're building some craft activity. And it was just a very magical moment. And I was like, yes, I want to be here for the rest of my life. And then so I just changed my career path, and I've been a teacher for 4 years. This is my 4th year in teaching. I got a contract pretty much right away, and I got basically my dream position. So I'm in a middle school classroom. I teach grade 6, 7. I love it. That's it. I fulfilled my dream. I did it.
Wow. You made it.
I made it. I did exactly what I wanted to do. And of course, awesome. There's more work to be done all the time. But I do admit that what I set out to do, I did it.
You made it all the way, and now you're looking for ways to revolutionize it.
Yes. Cool. Yeah.
Give back, I guess. Okay, so it sounds like you started. You knew you want to be a teacher when you were at summer camp, or working with kids to a degree. But it was Miss Farah or Natalie that pushed you into this specific age group, and she knew you so well. She did. That when you stepped into the room, it was like, this is it.
I was like, this is it. This is it. And sorry, that was a big story.
Oh,
but
it was good. It was good. Not too many people get that opportunity to just find what they do, or have someone there to help them find what they want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mentorship is huge in trying to find your place in the world.
That's true. Yeah, mentorship is really important. Okay, that's awesome. So you've been a middle school teacher. What draws you to the middle school age? Because for me, as child and youth care workers, we have preferred age groups, right?
Yes.
I kind of like the 8 to 12-year-old range. So a little younger, but they're kind of old enough to want to play and know all the video games, but they're not too cool yet.
Yeah.
So what draws you to middle school?
Middle school is they are like in that range a little. They go to 13, 14 by the end of it, but they're in such a time in their life when they're really becoming or coming into themselves. They're really figuring out who they are, and they're so awkward, man. I love it. I love the awkwardness. I love how awkward they are because I remember feeling that and like being able to see that being awkward and like not knowing who you are just yet is part of everybody's life. I think it's just very comforting. Yeah. So I feel way less awkward. I feel really cool.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So
but I like helping them figuring out like, you know, like it's okay to not know who you are right now and to like be insecure. Like everyone's insecure at times. And I really like that aspect of their growth.
Okay. So you like being that mentor that's there to tell them it's okay. Like we're all awkward.
Yeah.
You're not there to put more pressure on them, like more than the ones they're already getting from their peers and other adults in their lives.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm also a little bit manipulative and like, well, that sounds horrible. Well, like any other teachers or anyone who's ever met a 12 and 13-year-old will understand this, but like, and this is going to tie into games really, really well, but you don't tell them what to do. You like show them or trick them into doing things.
So why don't we dive into that? Because like that was kind of the topic is bringing gamification and like game mechanics to the classroom. Like when you're in class, I guess most people traditionally you think of the teacher at the front and the kids all in there and the teacher's writing something on the board and the kids are listening. But now like as more modern practices come, gamification is a really big one. And from what I learned from being like a teacher, a mentor, like there is a lot of stuff that I also see from stuff like the Fortnite Battle Pass. So maybe you can expand on what gamification in the classroom looks like.
Yeah, so gamification in the classroom is basically the idea that you're not thinking about, you know, you're not telling people what to do. You're setting up systems in which it guides them to do the desired behaviors, I guess. And that's kind of like a game. And like I'm setting up parameters, I'm setting up boundaries, and then I'm trying to set up motivation so that they go do the thing. So you can almost think of my classroom like I'm in the world of Zelda. You know, like there's lots of options.
The classroom's your dungeon. Yeah.
So I won't dive into that, but I do teach math, so I'm sure some people think it can be torture. But I'm like I'm trying to guide them through to exhibit the behaviors I want. So I turn things into games, and there's a point system that I use, and you're familiar with this point system because I used it at summer camp.
That was so fun.
I'm still using the same things I learned at summer camp. So they get points based upon certain behaviors. What they can spend those points in like our prizes shop, basically. I've also, because I'm a math teacher, I've incorporated that inflation will hit if over time. So if the longer they wait to buy something, the more expensive it gets.
That is so
balanced
cool.
With if they keep it in their savings account, it will grow slowly over time. So
this
it grows
is like real life skill stuff. This is awesome.
I love it. Yeah. So it's like, but it's a game, right? Like it's not real. Like the points aren't real, but they'll get them real things. But at the end of the year, I told them that like I'll put a prize up where if they reach a certain amount of points, like it's gonna be something ridiculous, like really big numbers, like
nice,
like 1,000,000 points, or like 200,000 points is gonna be I'll dye my hair any color they want.
Well, back then it was you'll jump in the lake.
Yeah, so there's no lakes to jump in anymore.
Is there the Fraser River? I don't know.
They did. My class does ask me like, "What's the craziest thing you've done for a class?" Because my motto is like, "You can pick the prize, I'll pick the price." You know,
okay,
whatever the price is gonna be, like I'll just make it too expensive for you to get if I don't want to do it. But the craziest thing I probably ever did was they got a bunch of prizes and I had to stack them on top of each other.
Okay.
I had to dress up in a unicorn costume, play guitar to a male identifying counselor, obviously. Of their choice. it was usually you or Ben that I had to like sing
yes.
to.
Yeah. That
Like,
was
you
nice.
have to sing to them.
We were a good camp duo.
Yeah. And pour orange juice on myself, and then whether I was accepted or rejected by this male counselor, I would jump in the lake. So like if I was rejected, I jumped in the lake without them. If they did jump in the lake with me, then it's even
that
funnier.
Was fun. Have I done that? I feel like I jumped in the lake for other reasons.
My camp partner was, I think at the time, I can't remember his name now.
Another guy.
Yeah. He ran over a deer with his car.
Oh, I do know who that is. I'll tell you after the podcast.
That was the only fact I can remember.
Yes, I will. I definitely know who you're talking about. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Maybe the post show. No, that's awesome. That's so great that you're building on your old skills and your experiences and bringing them and like enhancing new lives and new people with those skills. That's so awesome.
That's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that like every moment of your life is going to be applicable to the rest of your life at some point. So so like even if I'm playing a game, like I can take those, if I look big picture at what this game means and like how the rules are set up, that's what I love doing. So like you have rules in a game and those rules create the ability for your gamer to have fun. I'm doing the same thing in my classroom. I'm setting up rules to have my students do things and reach their goals and do all those things. So
and like you're like I guess one thing like games don't always talk about is they're actually teaching you new skills to build onto the next challenge. And that's kind of what school is. They're teaching you the skills so you can, I don't know, finish the test or get to grade.
Up.
Level up in your grade.
Yes.
And that's so cool that you mentioned the fact that there's boundaries. It's like within here, and the fact that like students get actual physical prizes, and I guess the opportunity to embarrass you is motivating enough. Like it doesn't have to be a number to level up. It's real world tangible stuff that they're receiving.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I think it's so fun to do it. That's the thing. It's like it's fun to play a game. People want to play games. People want to get better at skills. People love doing that. And if someone told me in sports as well, because sports are games, you have parameters, you have rules you have to follow in order to reach your goal or defeat the other team. If you don't follow the rules, you're not playing the game anymore. Like that's how that works. So like even people on opposing sports teams or people on games that you do where you are versing someone else,
like
everyone has to follow the rules, right? Like if you don't follow the rules in a competitive game, you're not playing anymore. And that's not
like
fun.
Hackers and cheaters, like they're super frowned upon. And then like big organized games like the NBA or NFL, if people are caught like using drugs, it's not fun. Like it's super frowned upon. And it doesn't matter if you get the win. Like morally, I guess. It's not competitive. It takes the competition out of what makes it fun.
Totally. I love that you said like it takes the competition out. Like competition is something you need to do together. Like you have to work together to compete.
Yeah. And that's life. Like you don't go through life alone. You go through life with people. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice. So can you give me an example of one of the mechanics that you designed for your classroom? Like you talked a little bit about getting points and inflation hits the points. Is there anything else to that, or is that kind of I guess how do students earn points?
Students earn points for exhibiting one of my high five behaviors. So it's a point is a high five. So any high five, and now I have different like symbols. So they have a high five, it's 1, a fist bump is 2, like a handshake or fist bump is 5, and then a handshake. So there's different symbols. And I think that the physical connection part is actually important, which was taken away during COVID, unfortunately. But when you have physical contact, there's like, they're there. It's there's something, I could go into the science of why high five is like the correct thing. Go for it. It's point of contact. You have to look in their eyes when you make a high five, and you feel connected. So you get a high five. You get 4. Any of the points, I believe it's safety. If you're extra safe, now it has to be like something above and beyond the minimal expectations. So being extra safe, being extra committed, middle finger is extra respectful.
Wait.
So every finger has so like a pinky is extra safe because your pinky is like the littlest finger. I didn't come up with this, by the way. So this is something, if you Google like high five contract, like it comes up. Lots of research around it. And it's used in different ways. The ring finger is the commitment finger.
Yeah,
so like you have to be committed. You got to show up. Like even when you don't feel like showing up, you're there. You're on time. You know.
The ring finger.
Yes.
I'm trying to be really careful with this. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'll follow along. Sorry. Ring finger.
And the middle finger.
Yep. Almost got me there.
That is the respect. You have to show respect.
Okay.
Even when you don't feel like showing respect, you show respect
Yeah.
to others. Index finger is responsibility, the pointer finger. And thumbs up, that's positivity. So being extra positive. So if you do any of those things, you get a high five. Or honestly, I tell them if I'm in a good mood. If you're being positive, I'm being positive. I feel good. I feel like you should be rewarded. Then I reward.
Yeah. I feel like that last one where it's like about you is kind of important because yes, there are rules in a game. And the rules are like on paper, you can't change them, but people can change. And you need to take into consideration people's emotions, people's state of mind, like prior experiences coming into the game. And that matters. And I think that's a really good modifier, I guess, that you added to the game.
Like I'm in a good mood. Yeah, I know the way you just explained that makes it seem way less selfish and than the original intent was.
In the end, you're the boss.
Yeah, in the end, I'm the middle school is when kids learn about the systems of government and they just learned about, democracy, communism, like all those things. So I tell them, this is not a democracy in my room, unfortunately. It is a benevolent dictatorship. So in the end, there's got to be a ref, there's got to be someone who's able to make the final call. So that is me.
Yeah. And that comes from one, yes, different contexts change. Excuse me. But there is always going to be a leader that you have to look to that will make the final call, especially in like times of emergency. Like we need one person to look towards and trust. And in the classroom, like that's you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Democratic processes are important, but they do take a long time. So it's true. It's important to have that one person who like, okay, you're entrusted to make the decision quickly. And that's kind of like how I explain it.
Yeah. I feel like there's another word for that. Like, what is it? There's laissez-faire, authoritarian. Authoritarian
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe there's another one.
Bourgeoisie. I'm not sure.
Totalitarian?
Totalitarian, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing about the class and how you gamify it. Sounds like a really cool system that you can write another 40 pages on as a game designer.
Yeah, I hope to do my master's degree on it one day or something. But
have you ever met or on Twitter, there's a guy called Zach Hartzman. He's a teacher in New York, and he's written 2 books on, well, I guess his is more about using video games as media in the classroom.
Ooh, but sounds familiar, but no.
Okay, I'll link you later. But
absolutely,
everybody else, Zach Hartzman on Twitter. He's got his books on Amazon. He's a pretty cool guy.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I have so much that comes to mind, but the other thing we use is when I was teaching French, it was Duolingo. So anyone who knows Duolingo, you collect points as you go through your learning. And there's so much in education that like gamifying education is so useful. And with math, I use 9-9 math or math 9-9. I can never, which is like, if anyone knows what Kahoot is.
Oh yeah.
It's where basically like questions come up and then you have to answer them as fast as possible. It's kind of like that, except the metrics are instead of everyone looking at one screen and answering one question, everyone gets random questions to each of their devices. And you try to answer as many as possible within a given time frame.
Okay. So it's like more competition.
More competition, yeah.
I was actually going to bring that up a little later, but we can talk about it now. How do you feel about using digital devices in the classroom? Because I know for some teachers, I guess when the smartphone revolution started, teachers really struggled with students being on their iPods, their cell phones, like in the middle of class. But now it seems like classrooms are embracing it and using those screens as tools. Because like every middle schooler's got to have a cell phone now. It's impossible not to. Yeah,
we definitely live in a world where like devices are very ubiquitous. I think I want to speak to like both sides of that issue because it's a huge issue right now in education. Well, what's my phone?
Speaking of phones.
Speaking of phones, yeah, mine's going to. I think that they are wonderful, amazing tools.
Mhm.
This mine goes off right now.
If it gets too busy, we'll turn it off. Go on.
Wonderful, amazing tools. But I think that people need to be aware of the children that you are putting these tools in the hands of. Their brains are rewiring themselves. And they're rewiring themselves in a specific order. And it's usually from back to front. So if anyone doesn't know, the back of your brain compared to the front of your brain, the frontal cortex of your brain is where a lot of your decision-making processes happen. The rest of your brain is going to be rewired more about the different systems that make up your body, and especially your hormones being controlled by the limbic system, the midbrain. I hope I'm getting that correct. So kids' brains are being in a time where like there's lots of hormones happening. Their brains are working very hard to make them go through puberty. There's a lot of emotions, and there is a lot of absence of dopamine at times. So
okay, yeah. So dopamine is the thing that makes your brain feel good.
Yeah,
so makes you feel good.
Dopamine is a reward hormone, and it's what makes you feel good. I think students are affected by phones in ways that adults are not. And I think that is understood by teachers and by, people who work in that profession, and not as understood by like the public as much. And even by parents at times. So kids can get addicted to their phones very quickly. And the idea that they can just like scroll on TikTok and they can get a hit of dopamine within seconds, as opposed to really waiting and being resilient. So building resiliency can be, I think we're going to see and we're already seeing the issues that come with over phone use, where you are playing games. Like, I'm trying to think of the games that we would play in high school that were just like absolutely soul destroying. Yeah, Flappy Bird, right?
Bird, Doodle Jump,
yes.
Fruit Ninja.
Like those kinds of games are set up extremely well to keep you hooked on the game.
Yeah.
And it is doing its job. Those games know exactly what they're doing. Flappy Bird, any of those games, they just give you a hit of dopamine so quickly that you don't have to wait to like, feel that high, that like, I got past level.
And it's even easier now with TikTok. It's like, you don't even do anything. You just swipe up and you get something funny. You get like, maybe you learned something. Like, it's still way too fast, right?
Yeah. And when people talk about damage to your brain, like your brain's not being damn, like your brain's not smoking, but you're just missing out on learning that you could be doing in that time. So I think there is damage to, if you were to use your time pursuing a different skill than trying to make that little bird go higher up the screen.
Definitely.
So phones are, in that case, like they can be extremely useful and extremely amazing, but they can also be dangerous in the ways that they can completely take over a kid's life. And they don't have the same willpower and, knowledge that we do, where we can go
wisdom.
They don't have
experience.
That. They don't have the brain power. Like they don't. They literally don't have the power of the will in their brains developed yet to be like, I've been on Flappy Bird for like 3 hours. I haven't eaten or slept or done any of my homework. Not that I actually don't give homework, but yeah.
What a cool teacher.
I try, yeah.
So yeah, it's so the kids they don't even have like the amount of neurons necessarily to know.
I don't believe it's a amount of neurons, but it's to jump on the butt, like the connection between the neurons. And it's not that they don't have the connections, it's that they're making the connections between the neurons in the wrong direction.
Gotcha.
They're learning that if they do these behaviors, they will feel good. If they stay on their phone on Flappy Bird forever, they will forever feel good until they die. But we know that that's actually kind of sad. That like we don't. There's
no
studies
life skills from Flappy Bird.
Yeah, there's studies done on rats where like you put a little electrode in the rat's brain, and you make it hit a button. There's a button for the dopamine to go off in their brain, or there's a button for food.
Yeah.
Rats obviously need food, but given the option, many of the rats would simply press the good feeling button until they died.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Wow. Because they just felt good forever.
Yeah. whereas food, yeah, you need it to survive. And I guess when the dopamine levels exceed like the dopamine the food gives you, then it's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah. So and games are set up to be dopamine producing machines.
Definitely.
Like that's what a game is.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people that get like addicted to games, it's not the games, they're addicted to the dopamine that it gives. It could be anything.
Yes.
It could be like TikTok. It could be, I don't know, like not to get too dark, but like substances.
Totally. Yeah.
So it's teaching.
Addiction's addiction.
Yeah. So it's teaching like how to learn and find sources that like make you better as a person and also give you dopamine and value that, I guess.
Yes.
Compared to just taking the easy way out.
Yeah, it's like fast food compared to like a really nutritious home cooked meal, like or like restaurant meal. Like you don't have to cook at home, but like, you know, we have certain foods that, you know, this donut's gonna taste good, really, really good right in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But later on, you're gonna feel the effects of not having the nutrition you need. And I think that's kind of like a way to see the different kinds of dopamine. Like there's a short burst of dopamine you get from a game that feeds you dopamine very quickly. And then there's those other long-term games that like, so it's not about games in general. It's about the types of games that are set up in the world for kids. So when we use games as the long form, as the problem solving puzzles, like people get the dopamine, but it's way further, you know, it takes a longer time to get there. But that hit of dopamine from solving a really hard puzzle is going to give you more dopamine than if you're going to sit there and scroll on TikTok for 4 hours.
Yes.
So it's about the long-term goal versus a short-term goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So as a game designer in your classroom, do you always, do you find it challenging that you have to balance, okay, this payout doesn't seem to be enough, so I should, I don't know, make the challenge a little harder so it feels like it's worth it, or maybe lower the challenge a little bit to make this payout feel more worth it? Do you find you have to do that balance a lot?
I love the way you said that, because that speaks to a direct like pedagogy and teaching, which is that if you don't anything you do in the classroom, you can think of as a game, because if you make their task too challenging, they're bored. They don't want to do it. They get frustrated, right? If you make their task too easy, they're bored, right? They don't want to do it. Yeah. So there's this sweet spot where you have to hit, where they are engaged, like where they're doing something, they're engaged in it. It can be hard to find that because for every student it's going to be different, obviously, and sometimes if the kids are addicted to their phones, meaning that they will always take the short bursts of dopamine over the long term, you know, they'll take the short term gains over the long term gains. That resiliency, that ability to like keep trying. Yeah. That's what we're seeing. It's not the addiction is kind of like you're always going to go to the short term gain. You're not going to like persevere through the long term gain.
So for the I guess the quick dopamine generation, do you find it challenging to create games that are more enticing than like their phones? Or like
yeah, I hesitate to say it's like a whole generation. Right, I think it's anyone can get addicted to their phones. You can have a 47-year-old in this day and age be consumed by short-term dopamine gains for sure. Yeah. So I think it's more about like, you know, the device is an amazing tool, but it's just that it's depending on what you're going to use it for. Games are an amazing tool, but it depends on like how you're using it. Cool. Yeah, I think it is getting more difficult for sure, because there are people who don't understand that. There are parents who don't understand that and think that I'm going to just give this kid a phone and, you know, they're just going to have to learn. It's like, that's really hard for them at that stage of their life.
Totally.
I definitely think that there needs to be more parental controls on phones, because that's why we parent children. We don't say like, we don't say, make your own food. Yeah. Right. If to a 3-year-old, why not? Yeah. Kids have got to learn how to make food, right?
It's a life skill.
Yeah, you got to learn how to make food. Learn to make food, kid. It's like, but they're 3. Like they don't have the ability. They're too small. They can't reach the stove. They like, you can think of that the same way as for like these 12-year-olds. Like they don't have the brain capacity to say no to short-term gains right now. You have to make it really easy for them to just pick the long-term gains over the short-term gains. And that includes having really strong parental controls on the phones.
Yeah. And I feel like that makes sense. It's like phones aren't necessarily marketed towards teens and kids. So why should we have that expectation for?
Yeah, it's very difficult to assume that the kid is not going to get addicted to it. Like that's like what do you mean your 3-year-old couldn't make pasta? Like
yeah, and parental controls is a really good point. Like we've been seeing more and more screen time controls and restrictions and all that, but there definitely could be a lot more because it is essentially a supercomputer.
Absolutely.
In their pocket all the time.
And when we talk about online games as well, like there are a lot of 12-year-olds on online games and that can make the world seem like a really horrible place when you see a mean comment or like what, but like you got to remember like a lot of them are 12. Like a lot of the worst offenders on the internet, they're probably 12. They're probably 13 or 14.
Well, the worst is like grown adults knowing that they are kids and because they are a faceless avatar. Yes. Like they just say whatever they want and it's like no consequences. But
absolutely. That's a whole other thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's really cool how that like your challenge as a teacher is now, well, game designer / teacher is how can I keep my classroom engaged while being against TikTok and I don't know what are kids playing these days on their phones? Clash of Clans, Clash Royale,
whatever it is. Yeah.
Personally, I'm addicted to Marvel Snap, but I set my limits.
Everyone's got something for sure. Yeah.
Do you have one?
Right now it's like the really lame Facebook videos. Or it's like a story, or it's like a sped up version of a TV show on Facebook. Yeah. So what people do? It's so weird. This is so weird. But like, someone will take like a cop show or like a doctor show. They'll like crop it so it looks weird, and then they'll speed it up so that the voices are a little higher so it doesn't get caught by like the algorithm. I'll upload it to Facebook. I'm hooked, man. I'm hooked on these like 10-minute clips of TV shows.
It's not even the whole show?
It's not even the whole show. It's so wild. It's absolutely wild. Yeah.
That is such a crazy concept because I guess there's a market for it.
Yeah.
and
as soon as I start watching, I'm like, oh man, yeah.
Just one more 10-minute clip and you're about 10 clips in.
Yes. And you spend like your whole hour where you're supposed to be making dinner or whatever.
Yeah. That's okay. That's the challenge. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your music side. Because now you're working on a really cool project called Project Van City. It's been around for a while, but it sounds like you've taken it over. Now it's your baby. Tell me more about it.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm taking over now.
What is it called? Hostile takeover.
Hostile takeover.
Revolution.
It's not
like that.
not quite, but I definitely I've put myself in a position where I am trying my best to further the goals of our organization or what it is. So I've named myself the executive director, and I function kind of like the executive part of your brain, meaning like I'm helping with the scheduling, I'm helping with organizing in that way, which is so funny because like my executive functions in my brain are actually really bad. I have ADHD. And so my executive functions don't work, but I've made myself the executive functioner of this organization. So good luck, everyone.
Maybe that's what the organization needs.
That's what it needs. 2 out of 4 of our like main executive team, 3 out of 4 of our main executive team all have ADHD. So,
nice.
But how I like helping make things real. So I take other people's ideas. So we have our artistic director, Adrian, my partner, who started it all, and like it was his vision. So really he's the artistic director, meaning he has the vision of what he wants it to be, and he's really good at connecting with people. So he like brings me people basically, and then I help being like, okay, I'm gonna like take all your information down. I'm gonna make sure that I have your email and your phone number, and that we can reach out to you, and then I help make the schedule to make sure that they can get into our videos. Then we have Jeremiah Gowan. He works at Hipposonic Studios. He's our audio or production director, basically. So he's really invested in, he mixes and usually is the guy behind the board for most of our video shoots. There's Keely Ramage-Scott, who is our communications director, and she's already got so much experience with being in not-for-profit organizations. And she also is part of a group called Face and Music that organizes shows. Her and her business partner received awards in Surrey for like a business award in Surrey for being an up and coming business. So yeah, I'm working with some really amazing people. And I just kind of help try to make everyone's dreams come true. So
So your team is like, you have a connector, you have someone with experience in nonprofits, you have the engineer, and you're like the logistics, you're planning everything out.
Yeah. So I'm the center, but I'm definitely not the top. Like I'm just the center connection.
Cool. And what do you guys do again? It was Project Van City, something to do with music and video, right?
Yes. So we have or host or create basically music video projects. So we'll have musicians from all over Vancouver, Metro Vancouver, come in and meet people that they've never worked with before, or that people they know but have never gotten the chance to work with, and we'll create really cool cover videos or original music. It's really fun. I really like it. The connecting it to games, like I use my classroom experience in this work. So when I say schedule, I like specifically I'm like pairing people up. I'm like, this person I think would really vibe with this person. So I'm going to put them here, but I need them to meet this person. So I'm going to make sure that they cross paths at some point during the day. Okay. So I'm kind of like creating.
Yeah. Do we say manipulating anyone? You're optimally planning.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. It's terrible. I'm terrible. I take great joys. So yeah.
In the end, like, you take great joy in not manipulating people. You take great joy in creating like awesome products, awesome connections that further people's careers and hobbies and trajectories. Yeah.
And like when I say manipulating, it's like the same way that a game manipulates you to have fun. Like the outcome is good. Yeah. The outcome is betterment of you. So I love setting things up, setting the rules in place, setting the boundaries, and bringing people in and having them connect and create and, do amazing things. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. Where can people learn more about Project Van City?
You can go to YouTube, the Project Van City. It's all lowercase, all one word, and that's how we pop up. So TheProject.
Yeah.
Vancity.
Excellent. Cool. And you work primarily with artists in Vancouver, or are you like at Western Canada, anywhere?
Well, actually, no. Now that you mentioned that, we do have, we connect with people who are outside of Vancouver whose intention is to move to Vancouver. So we have a couple of people we work with. One amazing person comes to mind. His name is Sam Selly. He lives out in Alberta and I think in Edmonton. He moved out to Vancouver and then pandemic and then moved back.
Right.
But so we got the chance to meet with him because of through people we knew. But his intention is maybe one day to live here. And so I get to reach out to him every once in a while. He's actually flown back and he slept on our floor and before a video shoot and came to a video shoot. And so we're hoping to connect him with more people and get him more work and get him, doing the things he loves to do.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. So it's for people coming to Vancouver. You want to build up Vancouver's music scene, artist scene.
Absolutely. We're losing so many incredibly talented people to places like Los Angeles and places, but I want to build us up so that we can be a hub as much as any other place. So we have Toronto in Canada. Yeah. And that's it.
Nobody else knows about
Montreal, maybe. For other certain kinds.
That's about it.
I want Vancouver to be up at that same level maybe one day.
Yeah. No, I believe it. We have so much talent here. It's a beautiful city. Tons of artists, influencers come from Vancouver or its surrounding areas, but nobody ever praises it the way they do. I'm going to LA or I'm going to Toronto.
Totally. Yeah. You don't see a lot of people moving here to, people move here for the mountains, but not necessarily for the music scene, stuff, which, I hope to change that slowly, a little bit at a time.
Let's do it. Okay. Last question. Okay. And we're going to close up our interview here. But what's one piece of wisdom you want to leave with the world?
One piece of wisdom.
Or two.
I'm going to hark back to what I said at the beginning. If you are doing something try to find out what that piece of learning is. Like anything, don't think that any of your experience isn't valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that Overwatch League is not valuable. Like
It
is like you can find learning that's applicable to your career, the rest of your life, in anything you do, in any game you play. So that's what I'm going to leave with.
Okay, cool. That's beautiful. Love it. And before we close out, if you guys have any feedback, please let me know. Leave it in a comment. DM me on Instagram or Twitter. And you can DM me at SamsonXP. That's X, the letter X and P. And it's XP_ on Twitter. Thanks for listening or watching, everybody. And it's been our pleasure to serve you.